Hey guys, and welcome back to the What's the Crack podcast. We are almost at the end of season 1. I think I have one more episode with a guest, but we're getting just me today. So, hi. I just wanted to do it just as a little roundup before we finish season 1. It's been amazing for me because I just love chatting to people. I love getting to know people. I love just shooting the shit with people. It's so fun for me, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. I'm sorry for oversharing on absolutely every minute detail of my life, and I'm sure you guys did not need to hear half of what you guys have heard so far. I've been checking in on the comments, and I do reply to the majority of the comments. But it's been pretty hilarious. I think we might do a group episode. I might try and see if I can get somebody else back on, maybe Konzo, because he's now my housemate. The Konzo episode was amazing, but reading the comments on that was genuinely hilarious. I had to leave a comment just saying hey guys, can we go back to the 90s where you could disagree with somebody and not start a fight in the comment section about it? You're not going to agree with every guest that I have on the show, right? That's fine. Maybe necessarily I don't agree with them. That is A-okay, because I live my life in this way of okay, we don't agree on this or political or any of these things. That is fine. It doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? The 90s were great because you could just disagree with people and that was that, you know? You didn't have to align with your neighbor for you to still wish them a good morning, you know what I mean? So if we could go back to that, that'd be swell. But it's been also refreshing just to see people not change their opinions, but have different views on certain things. I think people have noticed I've had a lot of spicy workers on, because a lot of my friends are spicy workers, and it's been refreshing to see the DMs from people being oh, I didn't think about it in this way, and I didn't think about it in that way, particularly them being their own bosses and not signing to companies that are going to take advantage of them and make them do things that they don't want to do. So that's been lovely. Thank you to all of the open-minded people that have been tuning in and listening, because the guests that I've had, I love them. They've all been amazing, and I just love chatting to people. I think we've gathered that, and it's been great. But I am sad that the end of season 1 is almost done, and we had high hopes on this podcast, right? Where it was oh yeah, after you get to X amount of views, you can have this, and you can start advertising, and you can start pushing it out on YouTube and all of these things. Then I got an email from the girl who runs my YouTube channel for ads and ad suitability and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, hey, so we can't actually advertise your podcast. And I was wait, what? And it was basically we struggled to advertise the last album because your girl was butt naked on the front cover. And a lot of companies are no, we are not allowing that to be advertised on our platform and XYZ. So oops, my bad. But because I'm not following the line of a lot of people who are on my level of content and things, they tend to censor their podcasts, not talk about certain things, and not have the discussions that they know are going to get them red lighted by YouTube. And that's fine if you want to play the game. I respect that, get your bag. But for me in this podcast, I don't want to have to just cut things out for the sake of just getting ads. But it does mean that the videos themselves never end up in the recommended feed. You can't advertise and push them out. You can't do anything with them. So all the views we've had have been organic and real views, and that's been amazing. But it just, for me, it just feels nice just being able to chat about the things that I actually want to talk about. If I if I was doing this podcast for ads and things, I obviously wouldn't be having spicy conversations with people or telling you any or half of the gossip that we talk about on here. So if you are enjoying it, and if you're one of the thousands of people that have been listening and downloading, I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you've learned a little bit, or you've just had something, because I'm a podcast girly. If I'm cleaning my house, if I'm traveling, if I'm doing anything, I'm listening to podcasts. That's just my vibe. I watch podcasts as well, so that's why doing the video version of the podcast was really important for me. And if you're not watching and you're listening right now on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you get your podcast, you are absolutely missing out on the wondrous Christmas background that I got going on, all right? Like, I have fully decked the studio out. And by me, I mean my manager, okay? Like, I didn't do it. I had an online gig last night on stage it, which I do them, like, every month. But I'm not here to plug myself. But we do online gigs, like 2 online shows a month. So we were doing our festive show last night, and that was banging. Also, there's this common theme in the comment section where I'm getting people coming in and being like, where's the music? No, 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 no. And I'm like, well, you clearly, like, I'm just going to plug now, okay? Just give me 2 seconds. There's so much music on the Patreon, right? We're doing, like, behind the scenes making of the whole next album. People are already hearing snippets of songs that aren't released or anything like that I've just been writing. Pardon me. I'm sick as a dog. So there is loads of music content. It's just behind a paywall. And I know that that's, like, not fair, but it's, like, literally, like, $2 a month if you want to access it. And I know that, like, but I have to put it behind a paywall because, you know, I got 10 kids to feed, all right? Like, I got rent to pay. So I appreciate everybody who is on the Patreon. Thank you so much. You also get the podcast a day early. You get exclusive content, like I was saying, that you can't get anywhere else. So super fun, super fresh. Anyway, yeah, so people asking me like, oh, where's the no music? I'm like, there is loads of music. You're just not looking hard enough. At all. I mentioned I'm sick as a dog. I quite frankly have been having the worst luck this December. Like, I can't even express to you how much the universe is just kicking me in the ball bag, right? So, like, everything's going wrong, but I always, at the end of the day, have this weird belief, and I know I'm not the only one because I said this in a live stream the other day, where I believe that for the universe to, like, give you good things, big things, it has to, like take things away from you or kind of put you to the test a little bit with how much you can handle before it gives you the good things. And that's currently where I feel like I'm at, because, like, I literally wrote the quickest list here while I was setting up the podcast, and, like, I'll go through it super quickly. My council tax, right? So basically I'd set up a direct debit with my council tax and everything was fine, okay? I hate the councils, by the way. Like my balls. I moved into the house with the guy I was in a 2-year relationship with, which ended in October. Shut up. Anyway, we moved in. Council tax was the thing I was paying. And then it got to, like, April. And, like, bear in mind, I'd set up everything correctly. But they were like, you haven't paid your council tax. And I was like, oh, Jesus, right. So I called them up and I gave them my bank account details. And they were like, okay, we'll set up the direct debit now so that it's all sorted and it's all set. And I was like, beautiful. So we had, like, 4 months of council tax missed. Anyway, set it up and they're like, that's great. And I got the notification saying it was all done. And then I checked my phone banking app and it comes up, like, the 200 and whatever pound it is for council tax every month. It's like, there you go. And I was like, grand. So council tax set up, sorted, Dunsky. So I continued living my life. And every month it was always there, coming out on the 28th. And I was like, grand, deadly. Am I one to check my banking app frequently? No. I set up the things, I move the monies, I do the do, right? Gets to end of October and I literally going through emotional turmoil because I left the guy I was with for 2 years. And then I think, like, 3 days after we broke up, I get a letter from the council saying, like, oh, you owe, like, oh my God, what was it? Like, from April to October, basically. They're like, you haven't paid your council tax. And I'm like, and you didn't fucking send me a letter? What? Anyway, so they were like, okay, so yeah, on December, from December to March, you are going to be paying £654 a month for your council tax. And I was like, what? Are you taking the biscuit? So I just, like, was like, okay, this is fine. Like, you know, the dog meme where he's in the house and it's on fire? Like, this is fine. That was the mood. And I was like, oh my God, life is on fire. So I was like, so I'm going to be broke till March. That's fine. I can cope. But then more things just kept going wrong. And I was like, this is literally a joke. So, like, if you don't know, I've got a heart thing going on, which is amazing. So they think I have a big heart, which sounds like a compliment, but it's not. I might have a big old heart because I keep having this thing where I've always been a fainty girl. I've always been like, you know, especially if it's that time of the month, I'm like, I could drop like a fly any minute, right? but it just got worse. Like over the summer, I'd like be going about my day. For one example was I was coming back from a writing session. I was on the train. I get on the train, no seats. It's like 30 degrees. I'm like, okay, fine. And within like 10 minutes of standing up, my legs are doing the jiggly wigglies, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't do this to me right now. I start sweating profusely. My whole skin goes like completely pink, and I start getting like letterbox vision, like the whole top black, the whole bottom black. I can just see the smallest sliver, and I'm literally like rocking like I'm at a concert or some shit. I don't know, like I am going for it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. I don't know how much longer I have. And I was just on the absolute brink. And then the person behind me was getting up off their seat to go get off at the next stop. And I swear to God, if a child ran at that seat, I would have rugby tackled it. I wouldn't have cared. I was like, no, that seat is mine. And I'm sitting on it like I am going to die. So I sat down, and I swear, like, people were looking at me because I was like, on the chair. But it's fine as soon as I sit down. Anyway, they're what I call like episodes. So I keep having those random episodes, and they are genuinely a pain in the butthole because, you know, you're just out there trying to live your life, live your best life, and then it's like you feel like such an old lady. You're like, oh no, I have to sit down. Oh Jesus. I was at a photo shoot the other day and everything was grand. I was crawling out of a fridge, don't ask. And then I was like, I'm gonna have to sit down for a little bit, guys. Like my legs have gone, and I just have to wait for my heart rate to calm down. So, and then I waited like 5 months for an appointment, and then I do the appointment, and it's literally a phone appointment, and I'm like, are you taking the biscuit? And he's like, so are you still having the heart issues? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, I'll set you up with another appointment. And I'm like, you're having a laugh. Like, so basically I waited 5 months to have a phone call for a doctor to ask me like if I was still having the issues. Yes, I am. So that has just been in and of itself annoying. And do you know what the GP said to me, which is even funnier? The GP is literally like, oh, like there's nothing we can do till you get these appointments. And I'm like, grand. So if you have another episode, right, the case of the dizzies, he's like, you have to go to A&E. I'm like, what? Like every time I get a case of the dizzies, I have to go to A&E? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I just smiled politely and was like, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fucking no. I went twice when it was really, really bad, and all I did was just wait there for like 6 hours just for them to take my blood and put me through another EKG monitor. And I was like, great. That was a waste of my time. And then because of the heart issue, my weight has just gone whoop. I lost like 8 kilograms, like 8 or 9 kilograms, which is crazy. And there was nothing I could do. Like I was eating as much as I've always eaten, and the weight was just falling off me. And then it got to like my birthday, I think, is when it was really, really bad. Maybe a week or two before my birthday, because I was going through my parcel tracking app the other day just to make sure that all the parcels I'd ordered recently had been delivered. And I seen a screenshot from November. The lovely delivery man had taken a photo of my legs. I was like, class, thank you so much, mate. Anyway, I looked at the photo, and Jesus, like chicken legs, like scary skinny. I was like, well, luckily I've put on weight since then. Like I think I'm on like I'm on 4 kilograms heavier than what I was now, like 2 months ago or whatever. So we're making progress, but it's just annoying. Like I did that photo shoot and I looked at the photos and I'm like, ugh, haggard looking, because it's like all you see is just bloody cheekbones. And like there's that thing, like you can't look youthful if you're just cheekbony, and it's grim. So I'm like trying my best to put weight on, but I was explaining to my manager the other day that I'm doing it so slowly, which seems like counterintuitive, but because I have a passive eating disorder, if I put weight on too quick, I'll spook myself. Because in the weirdest way, I hate this word, like I triggered myself by losing all this weight accidentally, because then you get used to being that skinny, and you kind of like, it's not that you enjoy it, but like there's that sick part of your brain that's like, oh, look at us, we're small, skinny. And it's really, really annoying because it just set off all these old thoughts. I wasn't putting any action behind the thoughts, but having the thoughts in and of themselves is very frustrating, because before this has happened, like I was doing so well with like my body issues and I was eating like a regular schmegular human being and not feeling guilty, which sounds basic, but not when you've the past of an ED. So I was doing the best with all of that kind of stuff, and then this just threw me all the way back, really. So I'm trying to put on the weight slowly, like I said, so I don't like scare myself. But Jesus, it's such an absolute nightmare. And like this year's been crazy with loads of stuff. Like I found out then as well, like I had ADHD, which I was shocked about in a way. Not, I just always thought I was a bit useless. To be honest, I was like, no, we just suck. We just can't remember anything. We can't do this. We can't watch a movie unless we have a babysitter. And I thought that was okay. And then I went on ADHD meds. And I thought, oh, these aren't really doing that much. Yada, yada, yada. And then when I went off them recently and switched to a different one, I'm like, oh my God, they were doing so much for me. They were doing loads. I just like totally didn't notice because it was so small. Like the things that you can do when you're on medication, like actually like getting your washing done, tidying your house, like looking after yourself, being able to just do simple things, like actually being able to focus on a task. I still had an issue with like doing tasks I didn't want to do, like fair enough, but like if there was a task that I wanted to do, I would smash it. So that was pretty crazy. I didn't even go searching for that diagnosis, to be honest. I'm not trying to collect these things like Pokemon, though it may seem like it. I was just saying to my therapist that I was taking modafinil, which is like a drug for narcoleptics, which basically just kind of keeps you awake. But if you don't have narcolepsy, it kind of acts as like a thinking drug. So that's all I was taking it for, was just to focus on my writing sessions, because I'll be real with you, my writing at the start of this year was so bad. Like, I was doing loads of sessions, but the songs were just rudimentary, feelingless, and just crap. And like, people be like, no, I'm sure they're fine. No, they weren't. They weren't. They sucked ass, okay? They were awful. But then I got to this point where I changed my antipsychotic, which ruined my life for about 2 months because I was emotionally unbalanced, chemically unbalanced, and all this stuff. But I got a new antipsychotic, right? And it was class, because at nighttime, right? Hear me out. At nighttime, makes you like ready for bed, which is great. Like, I like the fact that it makes my brain shut up, so I can actually get good sleep. So my sleep was good. And then I tried the Alvance, which is the ADHD meds, and those two things in tandem, when I got them, probably in the summer, and I was starting to go to writing sessions again, and the songs I was writing, not to blow smoke up my own butthole, but they were like, maybe it was because the ones were so bad at the start of the year that I thought these were class, but no, everybody that I've played them to absolutely loves them. So it was like, holy shit, whenever you're medicated correctly, it's like I finally get to see what the world is like through the lens of people who don't need meds and who are like chemically balanced human beings. And I'm like, of course I look like an absolute waste of space when I'm not medicated. Like, I'm emotionally a mess if I'm not on my antipsychotics. Like, I am constantly doing the ups and downs, and it's exhausting. And then without ADHD meds, I can't focus on jack. So I like my house would be not cool. I don't look good. Everything is upside down, and I'm always late for things. And anyway, it's like a whole new world. I'm like, oh my God, is this what regular people feel like all the time? I don't know, but it's just been nice to see what like life's like on that. So am I on my meds today? No. So if I'm distracted, that's why, because the ones I'm on now are the worst. They are like so useless. And then also they do this thing where they wear out at the end of the day, right? So like you can actually feel yourself tapering off them. And that's whenever the shit show begins of like, I'll be in my office and I'm working, and I'm like, oh, I need to go downstairs and get the hard drive. So then I go downstairs to get the hard drive, but then I'm like, oh, the sofa bed's not been put away. I'll put the sofa bed away. And then there'll be something on the sofa bed that will take me into the kitchen, and I'm like, oh God, the dishwasher's full. I better ride the dishwasher. And then I notice maybe there's towels in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, I better take the towels upstairs. So I take the towels upstairs. I walk past the office. I realize I went downstairs to get the hard drive, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I'll go back downstairs to get the hard drive, but then I'll get distracted by something else. That cycle continues till bedtime. like just this like running up and down the stairs and just like not that like doorway syndrome of like when you walk through a door and you're like, why did I come in here? That feeling is what ADHD is like all of the time. You constantly are like, what was I doing? Yeah, it's awful. Anyway, so I was going through the list. So there was a council tax, a heart issue, lost parcels. If you're in my life and I love you and I love you enough to buy you a Christmas gift, I'm sorry, blame Every. Santa's not coming. I hate Every. Every is the worst. Like, if you're in the UK, you'll be familiar with this company. It's EVRI and they do deliveries. Do you know who they used to be? Herms. Do you know how useless Herms were? They were dog shit. So what they did, Herms were like, the general public hate us. We need to rebrand. So what do? They rebrand and become Every, and then they become worse. They actually managed to get worse. So I have like 6 parcels waiting to get back from Every. And then I also have like returns waiting to come back. And like, that's a lot of money that like is just floating in the ether that I have no access to because these companies absolutely suck ball. And not even that, we sent out thousands of pounds worth of CDs, wasn't it, Rick? Yeah, we were like sending them to our distributors, like, so albums. So that's like, that's money on a tray. That's, they're like, oh, we ran out of CDs. And I'm like, that's great. We'll send you some more. We go to send them some more. We send them through Every. Okay, I didn't know they were being sent through Every. Otherwise, I would have been like, no, don't do it. But they got sent by Every and now they're lost. So that's cool. That's just great. I love it. Anyway, keep...
Got a customer survey.
Oh, don't. Honestly. Do you know what? They don't even have a Twitter. Do you know why? Because there's a fake Twitter set up for Every that everybody is abusing. Like, this fake Twitter only retweets all the bad experiences that people are having with Every. Because do you know what? The best invention? Those bloody door cameras. The doorbell thingies. Oh, genius. Because do you know how many of these delivery drivers are getting ousted because of them? Like, there was somebody who had an Every driver come up to their house to give them a Nike box, a pair of shoes from Nike. And do you know what he did? He put it on like the shelf at the house, took the photo like it was delivered, and then took the parcel. I was like, are you serious? And I'd love to say that that's like a one-off situation. No, it's not. They keep doing it. They actually suck so bad. And then recently, like 3 days ago, don't know whenever it'll be for you, but like they got caught because someone had fly tipped a bunch of Every parcels. They just chucked them, left them in the middle of nowhere. So there's from like the 25th to the 8th of December, I think, loads of parcels left in the middle of nowhere.
It's probably your albums.
Probably my fucking albums. Yeah, Jesus. So like everyone's having an awful time. And then the Royal Mail are on strike, which fair enough. I stand by the Royal Mail because they're trying to bloody turn the Royal Mail into fucking Amazon. And you're like, no, it's been a part of this country and system. Like, old people don't use Amazon. Old people use the Royal Mail. Like, and like, they're just being screwed over. Anyway, it's not fair. I am just so angry about all of these things because nothing is going right. Okay, so the next thing on the list is the mold in my house. Okay, one day I was chilling in my house. Okay, and I was like, oh, something's not, like, I can't remember how I noticed it. Maybe I went to get something out of my wardrobe. And, sure wasn't the whole wardrobe flooded? Like, I mean, like, water in the wardrobe and all my clothes. Bear in mind, I have 2 wardrobes, okay? Like, 2 wardrobes worth of clothes. So you imagine your average girl, it's quite an excessive wardrobe. I have 2 of that because I have, like, stage wear, photo shoot wear, like, Janet Devlin attire, right? All of that just destroyed. So at midnight on like a Tuesday, I have to like clear out my wardrobe, all of drenched clothes, chuck them in my bathtub, and I'm like, what is going on? And then it only gets worse because you think, oh, the house is flooded. That's pretty shitty. No, it gets worse because there's fucking mold in the cupboard, like mold in the wardrobe. And I was like, oh, no, please don't do this to me. If you don't know, I lived in a warehouse once and there was definitely mold in the new room that I moved into because I lived in a different room and then I went to a new room. And then in the space of 6 months, I had seven infections, right? Unbelievable. Like chest infections. Like I had like 3 or 4 chest infections. I had eyelid infections. How does that even happen? Anyway, my eyelids got infected and loads of other things, right? It was not a good time. I was not well. Finally, I moved out of there anyway. So then I was fine. Just magically, miraculously, didn't have a chest infection for like 2 years after that, which is crazy. So whenever I seen that there was mold in the new place, I was like, no, this can't happen. Like I actually cannot get to that point again where I'm just sick all of the time. Joke's on me, I'm sick right now, but so I was panicking, and then I was like emailing the letting agent and being like, hey babes, there's mold. The house is flooded, but BT dubs, there's mold. And she's like, so in regards to the mildew, I'm like, bitch, the mildew, same shit, both are mold. But she's like trying to like dumb the whole thing down and call it mildew, and I was not letting up. Like, I swear to God, like, I'm busy, like I have shit to do. But if you're gonna fight with me on an email over semantics, I got all the fucking time in the world. I my schedule empty, miraculously, because I will be emailing you all day. And eventually, she came to the house with the main letting agent guy, and they were just gonna paint over it. And I was like, hey, do you know how mold works? And I had to explain to them the different types of mold and that some of it is literally dangerous. And they were trying to like play the whole thing down, and I was like that they were just like, no, it's fine once it dries out. Bear in mind, it has to be below 10% wet for you to paint over it. Do you know what that feckin' wall was? Bear in mind, 3 weeks post the flood, 70% was how wet my wall was, and it needed to be lower than 10%. I was like, you guys, like, so it's fine for this whole, like, how are you drying it out? I'm like, yeah, I'm using the dehumidifier that's gonna cause my electric bill to be through the roof, but you don't care. Anyway, I hate these letting agents at the minute. They try to play nice with me all the time, but I'm literally so ready to threaten to leave because I can't even live in my house right now. We will get there. So anyway, I was like, if you guys don't get a damp and mold expert in, I am gonna do it myself. And then they changed their tone. They were like, okay, no, we can do that, like, yada yada yada. So finally they're getting one, and they're gonna call me. But at the minute, my bedroom, she's damp. And then last night, maybe like the other day, I noticed that the radiators weren't running on 100%. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Like, you know when you just touch a radiator and you're like, it's warm, but sure, it's not roasting. And the radiator's turned up full blow, like it's on like number 5 or whatever. I'm like, that's not right. And then I go home last night. Bear in mind, I was so ill yesterday that I didn't exist. I was not a person. I was doing that thing where I was like coughing and like gagging at the same time, because my brain, when it goes into like hardcore coughing, it just starts gagging. And I was laughing at it because like if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So like there's tears coming down my eyes, and I'm like coughing flat out, like to the if you've ever seen the TikTok of the guy that's like arugula. So I'm literally gagging flat out. And I'm like, oh, this is absolutely bollocks. So then I come back after the show I did last night, which was the online gig. I'm like, oh, I'll put the heating on. No. I turn it on, not working. I had to stick like an air, like, you know, the air heaters, which are freaking expensive. Anyway, I stuck one of them on because like I checked the thermostat. The house was like 8 degrees. I was like, that's not good. So here I am, shitty lungs, McGee. I have really bad lungs. And the house is freezing. Like, I mean, like, you're sitting there and you're going, and you can see your breath. I was like, great, okay. So then I fell asleep, woke up, yeah, heating is completely screwed. And then that means that there's no hot water, there's nothing. So I'm obviously having to, like, email the letting agents and be like, the radiators are broken. This is uninhabitable. I can't live here. I have to go live with someone else now. Blah, blah, blah. So moldy, damp, cold house is what I got right now. I'm so excited to go home. I leave in like 4 days, and I am so ready. I just want to sleep for a week and just like not exist. That's all I want. Like just to sit on the sofa, watch TikToks and eat food. That's it. That's all I want right now. So that happened, and then my stupid car was meant to be fixed for Christmas, and it was all good. Everything was grand. The car was ready to go. And then my brother is taking the car off the lot to, you know, the MOT was like a few days away. And then like the airbag light came on and another light came on, and he's like, "Are you taking the mick?" And then, no offense to the wee garage man who's doing the car, but like he's had that car for 6 months, and it's still not fixed. And anyway, the whole thing was ready. The MOT was booked, and I swear to God, I passed my test in March. Okay, I've been dying to drive for like 3 years now. Thank you, pandemic. And I finally had a fucking glimmer of hope after all this shit that was going wrong in my life, right? Because there was loads of it. I was like, oh, the car though, I'll have freedom when I go home for Christmas. I was so, like, I can't explain to you how excited I was. Just think back to the first time you passed your test and somebody gave you the keys to the car and you're allowed to go on your own. I was living for it. I was ready. And then it was like, no, your car's broken, you're gonna have to cancel the MOT. I was like, fucking hell, great, loving it. So no idea what's going on with the car. I'm gonna chase it this weekend and see, because my mum has now put me on her car insurance, which is great. But my mum drives a big boat. Like, she drives a Mercedes that's basically a boat. And I'm like, I drive a smart car, okay? I did my driving test in a Nissan Micra, all right? I am not used to taking up a lot of space on the road, okay? I am used to my tiny little dinky thing that you can pull into a space in one go. There's no reversing. There's no lining the car up. You just go straight into the parking space. And before you think my smart car is like a smart car that's like shaped like a fucking Lego, it's not one of the Lego cars. It's like a little sports car, and it's cute as hell, and only people in the UK don't like it because the Americans love it. But anyway, I love this car more than life itself. And I was so excited. And now that dream is over. Anyway, so I might have to drive my mummy's car when I go home for Christmas, which is terrifying because I drive like an old lady. Like, I'm just like, oh, we'll get, as long as I'm going from A to B, sure, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Oh, is it supposed to be a 45-minute drive? I'll be there in an hour and a half. You know, I'm in no rush when I'm behind the wheel of a car. I'm not. I treat it like horses, okay? I rode horses competitively for years, and I'm like, we just gotta go with the flow. You can't force anything. You can't make things happen. You just got to be in the zone. And that's why I don't get road rage, because I'm like, it's okay. If somebody cuts me off, my brain is wired now where it's like, oh my God, they must have a medical emergency or something. I'm like, their wife could be giving birth and they are in a rush to the hospital. I don't care. My brain automatically puts like this scenario and blankets itself. So I'm not a road rage girly at all. And then, what else has gone on? Oh yeah, because I went through the breakup, my mental health went shit. Ovs. Because if you know anything about BPD, BPD basically, it's your love and relationships that are the most affected by BPD. And I was breaking up with my favorite person, which I'm not going to explain what a favorite person is because I'll be here all day. But like, if you watch Twilight and you know that thing that Jacob does where it's called imprinting, which, first of all, problematic. He fell in love with a child. What? This tangent real quick. Jacob from Twilight, right? She has the weird vampire baby and almost dies, and then they turn her, so then she's a vampire, okay? She has a baby that's half vampire, half human, okay? And there's this thing called imprinting where they lock eyes with whoever it is, and then they fall in love, and their whole sole purpose in life is to protect that person that they fell in love with, okay? They would do anything for that person. They'd go to the ends of the earth for that person, okay? That's what I mean by imprinting. That, but Jacob from Twilight imprinted on a baby. Okay, that's weird. Anyway, so I broke up with my favorite person. I was an emotional mess. Luckily, I was going on tour, so everything was fine. But then I have this thing with BPD where when you get really stressed, okay, you can sometimes suffer from visual and auditory hallucinations. Either or, they both don't have to go hand in hand. Visual hallucinations for me has always been like, I see shadow people, okay? Don't really know how to explain that. Like, that's not a stressful hallucination to see, in my opinion. Now, you may be saying, Shanna, any hallucination is stressful. And that may be right. If you're a sane, rational, well-balanced chemical human, I get why that would be alarming. But mine are just like shadow people. You know that feeling when you turn too fast and you think you saw someone? It's like that, but all day. Like all day. You just like see something just going shoom out of the side of your eye. It's different for everybody. That's mine. Like, it's just shadow people. So I can cope with that. And I was having a little bit of that. And it was kind of stressful, but it wasn't there all the time. It was literally in the peak moments of stress-evil, okay? My old auditory hallucination used to be whispers, okay? I used to just hear, like they're talking. So it's like, oh my God, they're whispering. But you couldn't actually hear what they were saying. Like, it was English, but you couldn't pick out words. And that's the frustrating bit about that one, okay? Because, like, you want to know what the gossip is, you want to know what the tea is, but you don't have any access to it because it's just nonsensical whispers, okay? And you know what, I felt like I got dealt really good cards with auditory hallucinations and visual hallucinations. Shadow people, whispers, okay, fine. Because do you know what, contextually, if I'm like in my office and I just hear whispers, I'm like, okay, babes, you're stressed because, like, there's nobody here to whisper, okay? You know what I mean? You can kind of put that one and go, okay, that's in my brain, right? I got a new one recently. This was, again, like, I mean, peak of my stress, because there was things going on in my life that I can't even tell you guys about, but I was feeling like hurt, betrayed, broken, stressed, and it was awful. Like, Rick knows about some of it, and I was just in his office just crying my eyes out over one part of it. It was really shitty. So my brain decided to go, hey, new auditory hallucination unlocked. Do you know what it is? Okay, so imagine this. You're sat in your living room, okay? Out of nowhere, it'll sound like there's somebody in your house, okay? So for me, I noticed it whenever I was in my office and I was working, and I heard somebody coming up the stairs. I can't, like, these sounds are real. You can't put sound cancelling headphones on and they go away. No, they're like in the room. It's very real, okay? So I heard somebody coming up the stairs, like the weight of a man coming up the stairs. Now, because I have a housemate now, because, you know, me and my partner broke up, I got a housemate. So, and they were on their way back. So I texted them and was like, hey, you home? And they were like, no, I'm a stop away from the house. And I was like, do you know the feeling of your asshole falling out? That's how I felt. I was like, okay, so there's someone in the house. And then obviously I go and check, and there's no one in the house. And I was like, please, for the love of Lord, don't let this be my new hallucination. And yeah, no, it is. Because now I'm sat there, my housemate has gone to America, so I'm home alone in this cold fucking moldy damn house. And I'm sat on my goddamn sofa, all right? And I'm watching festive movies because let me live vicariously through the happy people on the TV screen, okay? And I'm sat there, and it sounds like a full-grown man has crawled through my window, stomped on the floor, and is walking around upstairs. I'm like, how do you continue watching a love story when you're like, so it happens so many times that I would obviously go and check, and it's not real. So now I know when I hear footsteps or somebody is in the house, I'm like, I'm chill. I had a friend over the other day, and it happened, and I was like, did you hear that? And they were like, what? Nothing makes you feel more fucking crazy than somebody turning around you and going, what? I was like, did you not hear the sound of somebody upstairs? And they're like, no. I'm like, cool. And they're like, you want to elaborate? And I'm like, no, I don't. Because do I tell all my friends about how crazy my brain is? Sometimes no. Sometimes you just want to pretend you're normal. So, although I did explain it to my housemate the other day, because like sometimes you can hear our neighbors, but they have to be being really, really loud for you to hear them. So anyway, they were making noise. They were moving stuff. And I goes to my housemate. I was like, you can hear that? And he's like, yeah. And I goes, that sound of like, you can hear things moving and you can hear a human, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that's what it's like when I'm stressed. Like, that's what it sounds like. But luckily, it seems to have calmed down. Like, I think I only had it like twice this week, which is pretty chill. Okay, considering all things considered. I've heard worse stories because I shared about this on a live stream. And I'm sorry to the person who, if you're watching this, thank you for sharing your story because it makes me feel better. Their auditory hallucination is the door going. Can you imagine? They hear somebody at their door like knocking or ringing the doorbell. So they have to get up and go check the door every single time because they don't know whether or not it's their brain or someone's actually there. Now, that one is a massive inconvenience, and I don't want that. So I'm caught in my lucky stars that I see shadow people and I hear people. Okay, it's not that scary. It's not like schizophrenia. And the plus side is it always goes away. But it does mean that my meds are upped, which I think is why I've put on weight, because my meds have gone up, and my meds make you eat like a mother trucker. Like, I can't even explain it. It's like half an hour in, you're like, I can either sleep or eat my entire kitchen. And lately, I've been eating my kitchen. You know what? I want some endorphins. I want to feel happy. So I just like go in there, smash up the whole place. So like all I'm doing these days is snacking. Okay. Like, I'm eating my dinners, I'm eating my main meals, but if you see me, there's probably a snack in my hand, especially past like 8 o'clock at night when I take those meds. Like, my housemate didn't believe me when I was like, no, I eat a lot. Then he moved in and I put him to shame. Bear in mind, you know Conzo's a big guy. And I'm like, he's like, I did not think you ate this much. And I'm like, no one does. No one believes me. And then I'm just sat there stuffing my face for 3 hours before I go to bed, which is not a good habit. I don't recommend eating before you go to bed, but I think this is an individual case in which I can eat whatever I want, okay? I'm allowed to do what I want. So that's that. And then obviously the breakup, which was, that was something. That was really something. I was not okay. I was a mess. But you know what? This is awful, guys. Okay. I'm sorry. I warned everybody I date. I'm like, you're going to get songs written about you, and I'm so sorry. And then on the last album, I didn't write about anybody. I wrote about me, okay? Because nobody fucks my life up quite like me, right? So this next album, because I have so many awful traumatic stories with dating people, because I have the worst taste, leave me alone, I gotta spice up my life. I've just decided to start pointing the finger on this album. I'm just writing about this guy that did that, this guy that did that. It's a mood, all right? Although I did have to write one the other day that was like, do you know what the common thread with all these awful relationships is? It's me. I'm like, maybe I'm the drama. Maybe it's me. All right. It's not fully me. I have people in my life to back that up. Okay. I may be awful to date, but I also date awful people. So it's kind of like it's a whole concoction, right? But you know what? It makes for great songs. All right. The amount of songs I wrote since that breakup in October, crazy. But like good ones. Like, because I have this saying where like I'll do a writing session, I'll write like 3 songs in like 2 days, and like one of them will be good. At the minute, all of them are hitting. All of them are good. I'm living for all of them, and it's great. So yeah, I know people are like, Janet, just date better people, Janet, blah, blah. And like, I know you guys get really precious over me, and I appreciate it. I love that you like seem to love me. I appreciate that a lot. I will always make bad choices, okay? But I am safe. I'm not like putting myself in any danger, okay? We are fine. But these awful people that I dated have made for a great stuff, okay? Like, is the trauma worth it? I don't know. All right, we shall see. But the songs are banging, and that's all that matters. Am I right? You know, like I went on tour this year and I aired some of them out, and the feedback was great. And they were the best of a bad bunch at that point when I went on tour, because I was pulling from the ones that when I wasn't being able to write good songs, I kind of took those ones on, like the best of them. So like the ones that I've got now in my back pocket, way better. And people keep asking me, am I going on tour next year? And I'm like, probably do some gigs, but I'm the record label now, so I don't know. Like, is it worth it? You know, you do this thing, you go on tour. Like, every time I do a live stream, people are like, oh my god, when's the tour? When are you coming on tour? Or like, they'll always have the gall. Like, say, right, I just played Scotland. I will get a message on that live stream being like, when are you playing Scotland? And I'm like, I played it last night. I plugged it for 6 months. You know, it's like so frustrating, but it's always the way. So like, I don't know how much touring I'll do next year. It's just so bloody expensive. And like, I get that people want to go and see the big acts, like this year especially. Like, you know, you had bloody Dua Lipa on tour, you had Harry Styles on tour, you had all these big like arena acts that have like dancing and musicians, and it's all fun and all singing and dancing. Like, it's like, oh, if you're gonna go see, because we're not made of money, like nobody's made of money. Like, if you can only go see 3 acts in a year, what are the chances you're gonna go see me? I'm not coming for you. I get it, I understand, but I don't know. We'll see. And then I went and I did shows in the Netherlands, which, by the way, beautiful people, firstly, but secondly, one of the best places to do gigs. Their like country is just like, it's like a well-oiled machine when it comes to like live music and stuff. There's so much funding. There was like a whole crew for our gig. I was like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, you've got a stage monitor person, you know, like the monitors that play the music back to you. You got a person for that. You got a person doing the lights. You got a person doing the actual sound that the audience are hearing. I was like, where are you getting the money from, lads? But anyway, it cost us an absolute arm and a leg to get out there because, you know, Brexit ruined everything for musicians. And you literally had to register. It was like £500 an instrument just to go over there. Are you taking the mick? So it cost so much to go out there, but I don't regret it because it was great. And that's when I was going through the breakup. And do you know what I needed? Hugs. I needed hugs. And I went, and what did I get? Hugs and love. Do you know what? Like, the first time in my life, I wasn't awkward about taking a compliment. When people were like, oh my God, I really love the show, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, give it to me. I need it. Fuel me. I'm a broken human. And like, when I went to Amsterdam, I couldn't even leave the hotel. Like, let me put this in perspective. I was so, because before I went to Amsterdam, I got my drink spiked. Okay? So I'm like almost 4 years sober, January 1st, which is a very, like, a great date to have because it's so easy to remember. And anytime somebody asks you what's your New Year's resolution, I'm like, stay sober, bitches. So anyway, I was at the cinema, and I go there and I order an alcohol-free mojito because they do them because I go there all the time. People were like, why would you order a mojito if you wanted it? Shut up. It was a mocktail, okay? So I ordered my mocktail. The girl that was working was new. Did I know that? No. I fucking didn't, okay? But I do the same order there all the time. So I'm sat there. The fucking trailers are on. I'm there with the person I'd just broken up with. Don't ask. Life is complicated. We'd already bought the tickets, all right? Shut up. So we're sat there. And normally they would take a swig of my drink first to make sure. But I don't think that relationship was really there at that point because we broke up. So why would they take us? Anyway, I take a swig of my drink. And I'm like, tastes warm. Tastes spicy? Why is it spicy? And then it dawned on me. I was like, there's alcohol in that. Holy shit. So I passed it to the person I'm with, my ex at the time. And they swig it. And they're like, trying to be chill. They don't want to freak me out. But they knew because I asked them later. They're like, no, I knew there was alcohol in it. I just didn't want to freak you out. They took a swig of it. They were like, yeah, it doesn't taste right. Maybe they used alcohol-free gin. And I'm like, yes. Maybe they used alcohol-free gin. Let's stick with that. Anyway, we called the person over. Do you know what I hate? I don't want to be a Karen. I don't want to be a Karen. Do you know what? These people are not getting paid enough to deal with my white girl problems, okay? But anyway, she comes over. I'm like, hey, is there alcohol in this? And she's like, I don't know. Let me go find out. Let me take that from you. And I'm like, thank you. But will I admit, though, when I took a swig of it and I thought it was booze, there is that demon in the back of your head that's like, don't say anything. Just drink it. Knock it back. And you're like, because you're like, part of your brain's like, free lapse? Like a free relapse? Oh, don't tempt me with a fucking good time. And it's awful. And my instincts took over. And the words came out of my mouth against my better judgment, where I'm like, I think there is alcohol in this. I didn't choose to say those words, but as soon as they came out, I'm like, I am now accountable. Okay. So she comes back, takes it back. She's like, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. I'll get that remade. And I was like, so just for argument's sake, like, was there alcohol in that? She was like, yeah, it was rum. I was like, oh, do you know how much of a tizzy that threw me in? Like, obviously, the rational people listening to this is like, hey, you didn't choose that. That wasn't your choice. I'm fighting a demon in my brain, okay? It's like a toddler demon. It's like, hey, I literally went to Tesco to do my shopping a few days later. And like, did I find myself in the alcohol aisle eyeing up White Claw? Of all things. I know, pathetic, but shut up. I'm staring at the White Claw. The White Claw's staring at me, and I'm like, I could do it. I am a grown-up. I'm allowed, I can buy booze. They don't know I'm an alcoholic. And then I caught myself, thank God, and I just had to leave. I don't even think I got what I went in for. I was like, no, you have to leave. So when I went to Amsterdam, if the boys weren't leaving the hotel, I was locked down. I was like, you're staying here. I don't care. Because if I remember anything from my addiction time, is like your feet will carry you places you don't want to go. Like the amount of times my feet took me to the off license where my brain didn't realize I was going there. Oh my God. So I was like, no, you're staying locked up. And that's what I did. So the only times I would leave any premises I was at was when I was being babysat by John and Mike, who, by the way, were having a proper little man date. Okay, they have a bromance like I have never seen before. Okay, like they enjoy each other's company to no end. Like they were just going on little dates. Like whenever we went and tour in Ireland as well, it was like, where's John and where's Matt and Mike, or John and Mike? Oh, they've just gone out for dinner together, or they've just gone here together. I'm like, do you know, if I didn't know you guys had such a big bromance, I think you're leaving me out. But I was like, no, I think they're just having a good time. And do you know what? Two of the best souls in the world. Okay, John, good, godly Christian man. We love him. Talented as hell. Does loads of charity work. Plays for his local church. I'm sorry. Lovely. Manzo Mike, bird watcher, charity man, who like loves the environment, loves all things good, treats people real nice, and is like if Carlsberg's did musicians, that man does his receipts to the penny. I love him. Those two together, it's like too pure. I don't know. I don't think I should hang out with them when they're together. I'm like, do you know what? You two go have a lovely non-mentally ill time together. I'm going to sit in my room and listen to sad songs and cry. Okay? So honestly, they're great. So that was so basically life has been kind of kicking me in the ball bag since actually the end of October. It's just like one thing after another. And if you watch my live streams on TikTok, it's kind of a running joke now where it's like, what's next? And you know what? That's fine, because like I said at the start, I feel like it's getting me ready for some good stuff, because next year is already looking bloody good. I don't want to say too much, but all of the things that I've been wanting to happen for next year just seem to be happening. Like, I said something the other day. I was like, I want this thing. And no, it wasn't even I want this thing. I said it to my manager like it was happening. Like it was a real thing. I was like, when this thing happens. And then 2 days later, did I get a phone call being like, hey, about this thing? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then also I do my tarot. And yeah, no, I am a tarot girl. Yes, I will ask about your big three. I will, if I'm dating you, I will find out about your big three. Okay, your horoscope, give me it. Give me it. What's your co-star? What is it? Do you know what co-star is? It's an app where you put in all of your details. And basically, if you know a time and where you were born, it gives you really specific ones. Because people are like, I'm not a Pisces. And you're like, no, you're not Pisces, but you're Sagittarius and you're bloody Capricorn say otherwise. Like, you know, you have all of these other layers of things. And I'm sorry, every man who's treated me awfully, can I just say, Capricorn. Capricorn man, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. But my heart has, like, all of my favorite people, like the BPD favorite people, all Capricorn men. Every single one of them. And I'm like, I need Jesus. Do you know what? I need Jesus. I need the Lord. Because I don't believe I'm a Scorpio. But guess what? My moon is in Pisces. And I'm a big old crybaby. And that makes complete sense. My rising sign is a Sagittarius. And I'm not expecting you guys to know what these things are. But Sagittarius they come across as really bubbly, like fun-loving, like an open book, la 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 la. And I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of what people say to me about me. So anyway, also, if you're getting mad at me for liking horoscopes, can I just remind you that if you're a guy watching this and you do like fantasy football and you're judging me for horoscopes, shut up. You play fake games. You make a fake team. You cosplay your favorite sports team once a year. Okay, don't judge me. I'm not judging you for enjoying it, right? But if you've got like a man hobby like that, or like Warhammer or any of these things, and you're like, horoscopes aren't real, and I'm like, yeah, and you're not the manager of a football team, shut up. It's all fun and games. It's all haha goofies, okay? But what I was saying was my horoscopes are not my horoscopes, my tarots, I do them. And do you know why? And I explained this to my therapist. Because sometimes it's like tossing a coin, right? You toss the coin, you don't know what you want, but you know the moment that coin goes in the air, you automatically know which side you want it to be. That's kind of what it's like with cards. Like, you can read whatever you want into them, but at the end of the day, if there's something in that deck that's like, oh, I don't want that, then it's like, oh, shit. And can I tell you something? Like, I can't say it out loud, but there was a thing when I was on tour, I was like, when I was out in Netherlands, I said to my manager after all of these things happened, because there was some weird stuff going on in my life, and I was like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and all of it, I have proof in my phone that was in my tarot 6 days before I left, and it was crazy. Okay, it wasn't fun stuff, but anyway, crazy times. But I am leaving now in a couple of days, and like I said earlier, I am just gonna be watching TikToks, getting fat, living life, driving a car that's too big, looking at my dog who's now fat. He's not my dog anymore, by the way. If you're wondering, hey, why don't we see photos of Bean? Because Bean isn't a bean anymore, okay? He is a thick boy. He's built like a Rottweiler with twigs, okay? Twigs for legs. That's my dog. He's like a piggy. He's a little piggy. I'm not fat shaming my dog. I don't want to give my dog a complex, but my dog is fat, okay? And he's got like a broken leg because he was stupid when he was a baby. So he's got like a steel leg. And I'm like, babes, I don't think the steel can hold that. And I keep mentioning it to my parents. I'm like, that dog needs to lose weight or otherwise I'm going to take him. I can't take him because I live with a cat now, but I would love to take him and get him skinny. But yeah, it's just like not going well. So that's going to depress me a little bit over Christmas, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, life happens. I get to go see my nieces. I got 3 nieces now, which is crazy. All my brothers are either married or engaged. And I'm just like sat here like, ha 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 ha. I make videos on the internet. Woo! And they've got lives and houses. And I'm like, how's everything? How's life? We just have different goals and ambitions. Like, one of them in particular does not have any urge to travel or see things or really do things. He is happy working his 9 to 5, coming home to his wife and his kid, and he's happy like that. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm happy you're happy. Would that fulfill me? I don't know. I don't think I'm in that phase of my life. And yeah, a lot of people like to remind me, hey, Janet, that phase of your life won't last that long. And I'm like, hey, the chances are I could probably still have a baby when I'm 40, okay? I don't need to be having a baby just because I'm 28, okay? And also, I won't be having a kid till my mental health figures itself out. And if it never figures itself out, I'm not going to have a kid. Do you know what I'll do? I'll adopt a teenager. Because they're going to hate me anyway. Because a lot of the times when you adopt or foster a teenager, they're kind of hard work. And that's fine. Because nothing that child can say is worse than anything I've ever thought about myself, okay? Oh, you're going to tell me you hate me? Cool story. Eat your dinner, you know? So I think there will be a phase in my life where I do something like that, but I'm not ready for that life just yet. I just want to write songs about my feelings. I want to see you folks. I want to hit the road, get some hugs. I want to make music. I want to make music videos. I want to do all the fun things. I want to continue making this podcast, you know? I'm having fun talking to people. And I say it at the end all the time, but like, if you have any guest suggestions, fire away, okay? And I think I'm just going to round it off here. I feel like I've been talking at us for like an hour, and I think it's time for me to leave. But before I leave, just thank you if you've been supporting the podcast, if you're on the Patreon, if you're on the Stadia, if you're letting those ads roll, baby, if you're letting them go. Thank you so much. Thank you for anything that you're doing. Don't forget to, if you watch the podcast, hey, just give the episode a cheeky download on Spotify or something as well. You know, just hit the button. Don't actually have to listen to it. But it'd be great if you could do that. Because like I said, we're not getting ads for a long time. Maybe on the platforms that, you know, because we have a company that we kind of put things out through for this stuff. But on YouTube, we're not getting ads. Unless we do like a specific bespoke deal with a company. No ads, okay? which is fine. But if you are enjoying the podcast and you think somebody else might enjoy it, go and send it to them. I'd appreciate it. Also, if you like the solo pod stuff as well, let me know. I will be doing them in the future, but they'll be better where I'll actually watch clips. We can laugh at stuff together. I can bring you TikToks that I find funny. All of that fun stuff. We can do that. We can talk about current events, because that's the only issue with doing the podcast with guests, is that I can't talk about anything that's current, because by the time it comes out, it's not current anymore. So I want to do more current affair style stuff, because I just enjoy it. So let me know your thoughts. If you've got any feedback on things that you think could be done better, don't hesitate to let me know. And if you are enjoying the podcast enough, I would ask you to maybe potentially consider signing up to the Patreon. It's like I said, like $2 a month, and you get the episode early, and your feedback is heard, because I read the comments on the Patreon, and I'm like, okay, like I see what people are saying and what they want. So there's that. Just keep your eyes open for like new music next year. And yeah, I also have to remind people, I'm big on the old Twitter. So if you actually want to have a chat with me on the lines, send me a tweet or something. I'm on there. My Instagram, not really, because do you know what? I get too many dick pics. Okay, I get too many gross people in my direct messages. My Instagram is a minefield. It is just, I can't go live on there because it's just gross. It's a joke within my community that it's like, if she's going live on Instagram, the comments are going to be vile, and they are. They always are. So feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to balance out that weird energy. And I appreciate that my YouTube channel actually has a lot of guys. So my TikTok is like 90% women. Okay, cool. My YouTube, it's like 70% male. So I've been enjoying having like deep conversations with guys, having them talk about their feelings, because I feel like a lot of guys don't feel like they can talk about their feelings. And I want you to know that it is okay. It's not, doesn't make you any less masculine or anything like that. Like, I appreciate it, and most women do. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that, because I'll just chat at you. But I hope you have a magical holiday time, whatever you celebrate, whatever you're doing. I hope you at least get a bloody day off over December in general, or January. I hope you just get one day where you can just kumbaya it, So thank you for the love, thank you for the support, and I'll see you on the next episode. All right, bye.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. If you have any guest suggestions, topic requests, or feedback, then hit me up in the YouTube comments. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode, or sign up to the Patreon for even more content. Have a happy day.